Welcome to another episode of Projects in Focus. My name is Reece Dempster, and I'm here to bring the case studies and personnel that were involved in those case studies to you through this podcast. Today, we're going to be diving into the delivery stage of the life cycle. And if you're liking what we're doing, please like, share, and tell a friend as we go on this journey to bring more relevant and information to you for the project professionals of today and the future. Today, I'm really pumped to go through the delivery stage as we dive into the Mandurah Ocean Marina. And we get to do that with the project director of the project, Chris Carman. I was lucky enough to meet Chris 10 years ago when he was the chapter president for the Australian Institute of Project Management here in Perth, WA. And ever since then, we've had plenty of discussions on not just projects, but how to develop further project professionals and bring the information that is relevant to those that need it now and in the future. Chris has been involved in the projects for over 40 years. Significantly amount of energy has been not just implemented into his business that he supported projects, the benchmark projects. However, he's spent a lot of time teaching, running courses, bringing the overall profession up over this time. Chris, welcome.
G'day, Reece.
It's awesome to have you here today. I've been really looking forward to having this conversation. Can you give us a bit of an intro to yourself and what Mandurah Marina actually means to you?
Well, I'm an engineer by background, and in 1985 I formed a company called Benchmark Projects, which is now called Benchmark Projects Australasia, and started to do project management mainly in the government land development area. And I was fortunate enough to secure a long-term contract with the government land developer, which at that stage was called Landcorp. It's now Development WA. And started out by project managing Joondalup City Centre from Greenfields.
Yep.
I had gone through that project for about 10 years when I was asked to relinquish that project management and take up Mandurah Ocean Marina. I at first wasn't very happy about that because I hadn't finished the Joondalup project.
Yep.
And I knew nothing about marinas at all. So I had to go on a very steep learning curve to educate myself about how marinas were built and how they operated. And so I actually went on a study tour, international study tour.
Wow.
To learn about marinas and talk to designers, operators, managers of marinas so that I get my head around all of that important stuff.
It must have been a tough time because you essentially left something unfinished, as all project managers know. We really don't like doing that, do we? And then you've had to go and learn this whole new area.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So, but as it turned out, I consider Mandurah Marina to be the best project I've ever worked on in my entire life. So that's as you said before, it's won over 16 state, national, and international awards, including best marina in the world and the best master plan development in Southeast Asia. So it's very rewarding to be involved in a project like that.
Yeah. And going through some of the stuff that you've sent me just to bring this case study to the project world, there's some really good photos, some really good stories to be had here. And I'm really thank you for bringing that through this forum. So thank you for being here today.
I've just given you a small sample of the photos that I've had. Just go through and, pick out ones that are, I thought were representative of different stages of the development. So
So the one we're looking at the moment is the photo of it being completed, the final product.
Yep.
And this is the not just the final product. This is with everything almost built.
Yep.
So it's nowhere near where you first saw it.
No.
It's very, very different from
Yep.
when you first saw this area.
Yeah. It was it was a disused or underutilised mooring area, boats on swing moorings, not a lot of them, a lot of commercial boats in there, fishing boats.
Yeah.
There was an existing fishing club there, and a sea rescue group in there. There was a caravan park there, and there was a sort of a maintenance facility, which was really just a container for boat repair.
Yep.
At the time. It was, as we found out later, it was highly polluted. There was no areas for getting rid of sewage or anything like that. There were no pump out facilities. There was none of that stuff there. It was just like you dump everything over the side. So yeah, it wasn't very nice. But it offered the opportunity to build something, great out of there.
Yeah.
It was actually Carman, who was the deputy premier of the state at that time. It was his baby, if you like, and he set up a task force to oversee the planning and development of the project. And that included a lot of stakeholders, including Landcorp at the time, the People Development Commission, the City of Mandurah, people like that, the Chamber of Commerce, and some private people, the local members.
It was an all-in affair, wasn't it, on this particular project?
Yeah. And I ended up reporting directly to the task force.
Yeah.
Obviously, Landcorp were part of that, so I wasn't reporting to two different masters, I suppose, but I reported to the task force.
Yep.
Just ran the project from. There was an outline development plan when I took it up. I'm going back to 1998 now. There was an outline development plan that had gone through the planning process with the local council. That had been approved, and I just commenced,
A bit after that.
Tweaking the plan, I guess. There was a big tweak later.
We'll definitely get into that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
As people have said, one of the favourite things I get to do when I take the kids down to Mandurah Marina is walk them over the bridge. It's a very impressive bridge that we get to utilise now.
Yep.
That is a pillar of the community.
Yep.
And when you got photos like this, with the reflection and everything that we're looking at the moment,
Yep.
it is definitely a draw card for not just Mandurah but for the whole of West Australia, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a pretty spectacular bridge when you think about it. But we had to link, the area over the water. We had to link into the existing Mandurah, where the Performing Arts Centre is. We had to link that through there, so that pedestrians could get over one side to the other. But it was designed by Cox Architects.
Yep.
And the structural engineering was done by Vandermeer, who I don't think they exist anymore, but Cox certainly do. But it's a tripod structure, and the piles go down about 23 metres.
Wow, 23.
Yep.
Below sea or from the ground? Below the sea water level?
Below the water level, yeah.
Yeah, so 23 from there, yeah.
Yeah. And they are angled piles.
Yep.
So, and they had to be driven off a barge.
Yep.
Right? So it was a fairly high-level technical exercise to do that.
Well,
and they're not, you see the superstructure there, the tripod that's angled.
Yep.
They're not one piece. They're actually welded.
Oh, Okay.
at
So,
the top of the pile. They're actually welded.
yep.
Yeah. So
I've heard that is never an easy adventure when you've got to drive one in and then lift another on top of it. And then
yep.
while you're on top of water, that's obviously very stable.
Not yeah.
uh,
No,
as-
it's extremely. I think the contractor that built the bridge was Bocol,
Yep.
Bocol, and they did a magnificent job.
So, before we dive into the Mandurah Marina delivery element, project wide, like project profession, delivery stage, it's not always reached. There's a lot of projects that don't get there, but and then again, I feel when we're looking at these projects that do get to delivery, some of them are already in trouble. What's your experience in the delivery phase in general? Not necessarily Mandurah Marina, which we'll talk a bit about later, but what does the delivery stage mean to you?
Well, first of all, you got to go back to basics. You got to scope the project correctly, because if you don't do that, you're on a hiding to nothing.
Yep.
Then you've got to get the budget right.
So before you once you get to delivery stage, you go back to square one and rescope and make sure you've got the budget right once you enter that delivery stage.
Yeah, you need to be constantly monitoring and checking that you are not indulging in scope creep.
Yep.
The scope contains everything that's required for the project and nothing else.
Yeah.
So, but this is a Mandurah's case. There was a massive amount of stakeholder management and engagement in this project, because there was a vision there of a marina of some sort for 30 years before I got involved. And it never happened. The delivery stage never happened because there wasn't anybody coordinating stakeholders and their different agendas, their different requirements, which were all diversely opposite.
Yep.
Including the local residents who didn't want anything next to their back door. The fishing club, the sailing club, who had to amalgamate to get into this, and we gave them land on Peppercorn Lease to start, and they had to amalgamate, but they hated each other. Literally.
At the time.
I mean, literally, they hated each other. No, they're fine now.
Yeah,
they think it's great.
Yeah,
but they were at war, literally at war.
Yeah.
Then you had to deal with the sea rescue group, the commercial lobster fishermen organisation that was there. Obviously, you've got to have maintenance facilities and all that sort of stuff. The existing guy, I won't mention his name, but he was using all sorts of toxic stuff and letting it run into the water.
Clean-up requirement as well.
Yeah, well, he got removed. He wasn't to be a part of it because you can't have that. So we actually went to tender to get another operator on that. So you deal with all those people. Demolition of a caravan park, highly contentious issue. Again, once we did that, we actually built a chalet park in replacement of we actually built the physical chalets for low cost accommodation in replacement, and offered the people in the caravan park first right of refusal to go into there. A lot of them, a small number of them took up that offer, but a lot of them went to another caravan park.
Okay.
Somewhere else.
Fair enough.
And some of them were pretty elderly people in their 80s.
Yep.
But when we demolished the caravan park and started to move the earth and stuff, we discovered all broken clay sewer pipes and another clean-up job.
Yeah, wonderful world.
Yeah, terrific. So,
under the ground.
Yeah. So things like that you don't really anticipate. I mean, there was a risk management plan, obviously.
Yeah.
On top of that we did up front, but that wasn't really identified as a risk in that caravan park. So it was
And there's
obviously.
different
Yeah.
tools available to now, to professionals now that not necessarily were available back in that time. But what I'm hearing there is, I guess, to summarize what you're saying is, while there are a lot of elements that go into it, your baseline, when you start your delivery stage, you need to be aware of all the elements that are in your baseline.
Scope, risk, budget, time,
Yeah.
all that.
Stakeholders,
Yeah.
their perspective, and you
Yeah.
need to have that documented so that you can.
Absolutely. You got to have a project definition plan up front that lists all this stuff out so that you've got a guide. I mean, something happens to the guy or the project manager. What do? Start again? Or, you've got to have some document that you can refer to. So the PDP is very, very important. So
I use the term tacit and explicit knowledge, tacit being, mental knowledge, explicit being in written form, and transferring the project tacit knowledge that's within the teams into the explicit knowledge is a continuous cycle that goes throughout the life cycle. It's not just delivery stage, but at this point, it is almost, the start of delivery. Let's reconfirm our explicit information across the entire project. And what you summarized across all of those elements is just a journey in each part of the element. And the bigger the project gets, the more work each element requires in energy and time. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to speak to you, because most of the time people talk about case studies in the negative. I wanted to kind of flip that. And I wanted to kind of take a project that's, was delivered excellently, had all the things, but still had a lot of challenges along the way. And that's today is the Mandurah Marina. That is where I, let's move into that space in terms of the discussion, and in terms of just giving people a bit of a frame. Okay, when we're talking the delivery phase, we're at that stage where there's stuff happening on site.
Yep.
What year is that for you, and where would you want to start where would you say the delivery stage started in this project?
Well, it was virtually at that stage when I took it over.
Yep.
The ODP was approved. We had Landcorp had a treasury guarantee to fund any shortfall on this project, so it was ready. It was ready to go to, other than all of the stakeholder negotiation and stuff like that, which had to happen. So we actually started construction the following year, 1999.
And at that stage, what was the scope that you understood it? So we understand what it is now, but when you're at that stage, when you landed, what do you remember being the scope being sold to you?
Well, it was always intended to be an international standard marina.
Yep.
For something like 550 boats at the time.
Yep.
A mixture of private and public pens. So the private pens would be for the fishing and sailing clubs and the commercial fishermen, and the private public pens would be open to the boat owners, public boat owners. There was a decision made early on that the city of Mandurah would actually be the marina manager.
Okay.
Which is different to a lot of marinas in Western Australia, normally managed by the Department of Transport.
Yep.
Or Marine and Harbours, as they were called. Marine and Harbours section. But this one was the city of Mandurah. And the reason being is Mandurah is full of waterways. The Peel Inlet, there was also Port Mandurah, which had canals in it, Port Bavard, all of that sort of stuff. And the management of that Peel Inlet was already under the auspices of the city of Mandurah. So they had knowledge there, local knowledge as well. So they were appointed as marina manager so early on, so that I actually got to liaise with that marina manager the person from a very early stage. And don't forget, I've been on the study tour to talk to operators and all that sort of stuff. So I knew a bit about it.
Mhm.
We came to loggerheads a couple of times,
I look forward to hearing about that one.
but we ended up being great friends.
Oh, good.
Yeah, long-term friends, still mates.
That means it was
And
just
he's-
task conflict. It wasn't ever a personal
Yeah,
conflict.
it just the guy had actually come out of Department of Transport. He actually was the harbour master at Hillary's,
Yep.
and he came down there and was engaged by the city of Mandurah.
Oh,
So,
awesome.
The delivery started about a year after I got onto the project, and we did it. And the scope was to deliver an international class marina, mixed use,
Mm-hmm.
so unique. There's not a lot of mixed use marinas still.
It's very bespoke.
Ocean Reef Marina is now being built, which I had a lot to do with in the planning phase, planning and feasibility of that. And that's a mixed use marina as well. So, but that's number two, bespoke.
Mm.
Yeah. So Albany Waterfront's in there too, but it's a lot smaller scale. But I delivered that one as well. We'll talk about that another day.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
So I was given the ODP and said, and get this design, deliver this, right? So we had the option of dredging the harbour bit.
Mm-hmm.
That was going to take a very long time, and we knew there was contaminated soil and stuff like that in there. So we made a decision to dewater the existing area, but in 2 stages.
Yep.
So we built an earth bund dam across, basically splitting it in half, and dewatered the top half, the northern half. There's a picture of it.
Yeah, the picture you're looking at now is actually where we put where Chris and his team were put the bund essentially across and started.
Yeah. So where that blue pump, that's a pump.
Yep.
That blue thing there. This is actually stage 2.
Yep.
This is a photo of stage 2, and you can see at the top of the screen the water's back in. That's stage 1.
Yep.
Right. But we pumped out millions and millions of litres of water against the pressure of the ocean, kept it out for 9 months at a time, each time, so that we could get machinery down, excavators and scrapers and trucks and stuff like that to excavate the harbour down to 5 metre depth.
Yep.
In some cases. So, and that was all going. that went really well in the first stage.
Yep.
And it allowed us to do the edge walls that we'll talk about later in dry conditions without having to just pour rocks in and just create revetment walls. We were actually able to do straight walls.
Yeah.
But this is stage 2, and where that blue pump is, that's sitting on the bund, and right at that end of the bund, about a week before we were due to take the bund out and let the water back in, it burst.
Wow. So it created an instant challenge for the entire project.
2:00 in the morning on a Sunday morning. Luckily, there was nobody down there.
Yeah.
But the bund collapsed, and water came in at the rate of filling an Olympic swimming pool in 8 seconds.
And there's
5 metre depth.
So it filled up pretty quick.
Yep. Yep. It's like a tsunami.
Didn't hear that one in the project case study that I've read and gone after. Was the design locked what you wanted at that stage?
The design was locked, but after this study tour, I came back and said, we need to get, in stage 2, we need to get to make this really world class, we need to get canals in stage 2. There's no canals, all dry land.
Yep.
Dry land development. And I was supported in that by the engineers who said, yes, that's a feasible thing to do. I went to Landcorp and asked whether I could pursue that, keeping in mind that at the time there was a moratorium on canal developments in Mandurah.
Yep.
They didn't want any more. The Department of Transport, there's a planning code on the Canal Code, which would have made it almost impossible to do this. But there was a loophole. Because it was a marina, we could actually use the marina code and call these marina waterways. I spoke to the City of Mandurah, the Mayor, the CEO, the engineer, the planner down there, and asked them whether, if I could get this through, all of the hurdles, prove it up, flushing, all that sort of stuff, and demonstrate a economic benefit, community benefit,
yep,
social benefit to the community at large. Would they support me? I thought they'd say no, go away. But to my surprise, they were all pretty enthusiastic. And Landcorp said, okay, try it, do it, have a go, get the design. So
that's always
I got
awesome.
together with the planner and the engineer at the planner's office at about 3:00 in the morning with red wine and pizza.
The best team meetings.
Yeah. And really it came down to very, very simple. We took roads out. And put water in.
Simple concept.
Simple
to say, obviously.
Massive changes.
Yeah.
Ran the numbers, ran the feasibility, ran the valuations of the land against what it would cost and all that sort of stuff. And it was positive. The one problem we had was private ownership of water. So what we did was we designed the lots so that the boundary of the lot was in the water.
Yep.
So they own seabed.
Yep.
But then there is a easement on the front of every lot which allows the public access right around the waterway. Okay. So you have a pedestrian access easement. Then the problem of privacy raised its head. Really no different from having a footpath out the front of your house.
Absolutely. We all have those.
In effect.
Yeah.
But what I did to circumvent that was built retaining walls on one side, 2 metres high.
And we've got a photo of those.
Correct. So that's the edge wall going into the canal.
Yep.
Mooring posts for boats.
Yep.
Because they own 3 metres of the seabed. And then on top of that, there's a pedestrian access way. And then on top of that is the retaining wall, and the development level of the house is up the top of that.
Yep.
So you've got privacy.
Just from sheer height.
You've got privacy. You've got passive surveillance.
Yep.
Over the whole lot. So very secure.
Yep.
As well as CCTV cameras and stuff like that, but very secure.
Yep.
The market accepted it hand over fist. There was no objections from anybody about that.
Mm-hmm.
But that one small change, which was then eventually approved, obviously, because it's built now.
Yep.
We got the flushing right. The Department of Transport were sort of out of the picture because they weren't the marina manager, and it was not under the Canal Code.
Yep.
It was under the Marina Code.
Navigating with a fine-tooth
comb. It gives you a reduced fairway.
Yep.
With moorings either side, and we designed the bridges, and it turned it into a little Venice, and I called it the Venetian precinct.
Yep.
I named all the roads after Venice precincts in Venice.
Yes.
The bridges reflect Venetian bridges in
Yes,
Venice,
I do. Yeah.
and they're low. They're low, so no, the boats, only 6-metre boats,
Can get through.
8-metre boats,
Yeah.
without fly bridges.
Yep.
That's the maximum you can have.
Yep.
Through there. Obviously, a very small, very low speed limit as well. But the flushing was great.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, dolphins chase the fish up in the corner.
Yep.
Still now.
And they're very active in the area.
Yeah. So that was all one, and it was delivered from a social point of view, a community point of view. You've got public access to all of that stuff, so you can walk there and enjoy the environment. From a tourism point of view, it made it, because it was unique. It was unique at the time.
Yep.
Tourism point of view, visitation to Mandurah, all that sort of stuff. And from an economic point of view, for the developer, which is actually the taxpayer of WA,
it is.
This project went from an $8 million loss to a $100 million profit.
Would have.
Just because of that.
Absolutely. And, like the question I have, I guess, when I see in the project profession at the moment, what motivated you as a project professional to go the extra mile and do this? Because obviously, like, you got told to deliver this. Why did you go down, and why did you explore this pathway?
It's been my ethic ever since I started benchmark projects, to excel, to do something that stands out. The dry land one was really dull colours and boring.
Yep.
But it's spectacular now.
Absolutely.
It really is. So
So how do project managers take that? So, what do you think, put a challenge out there to project professionals now. How to like give them a challenge on how to achieve that excellence? What would you want to say?
Well, number one, your sponsors have got to be on board.
Yeah, sponsors on board.
Right? Yeah. If the sponsor says no, there's very little you can do about it unless you're the developer.
Yep.
Right? But if the project sponsor's on board and can see, there was a whole raft of work done to prove this up.
Yep.
So basically a new business case that the CEO of Landcorp actually took and delivered to the city of Mandurah and said, so we want to do this.
Yeah. Immediate buy-in from just not only your team, but your team leadership as well.
Yeah. So you've got to have that support.
Yep.
Without that support, it's very difficult. But I guess I'm the type of person really that I'm probably a frustrated architect or a frustrated urban designer or something.
Yeah.
But I've always had like even Joondalup. The Joondalup. Just an example on Joondalup. Mm-hmm. Getting away from this a bit, but the railway line that goes up there comes off the freeway and goes under the city.
Yep.
That was never the plan.
No, it wasn't.
From railways.
A lot of people don't know that.
Okay, it was never the plan.
Yep.
It was going up the freeway. There was going to be a bus station on top of it, and you got a bus into the city centre.
Yep. Very consistent with the rest of the line, wasn't it?
Yes. And I said, "This is a city centre. Yeah. This is not a suburban shopping centre. This is a city centre. You must have a station in the city."
Yeah.
Had a huge argument with railways.
Yeah.
Minister eventually backed us,
mm-hmm.
And we were able to get the railway line diverted.
Mm-hmm.
We had to do all the work. We had to, under my management, we had to do the cutting and do the bridges and all of that sort of stuff. Do the tunnel where the station was going to be. We had to do that ourselves.
Yeah, but
they eventually decided, oh yeah, okay, because all they were worried about is their travel time. That's it.
And it's an interesting point because we'll dive back into stakeholder management because that's actually a kind of the next focus or question that I was going to throw at you. Every stakeholder within a project like Mandurah Marina has their own language and their own thing that they want to achieve. You just used it. the railways at the time was, travel time of the trains is the most important thing for me. Not necessarily the city centre, but for their operations. Move that over to the Mandurah Marina. How do we, give us an example of a situation that happened during delivery that you had to navigate, that that you think would actually stand out, and where you kind of you communicated to everyone but got everyone onto the same page eventually. How'd you do that, and who was it?
Yes. Well, you think I might be bashing Department of Transport, but really they were probably the least cooperative of all the stakeholders. I mean, they were anti everything.
Yep.
Which, Marine and Harbours, why would you be? Particularly when there's a government task force that's headed by the Deputy Premier. Why are you, doing this? So they were difficult.
Do you find it's because of the policies that they have?
Yeah,
not necessarily the people. It's more the policies that they have.
They just do it by the book.
Yeah, and the book's in front of them, and
can't do anything else.
Are they incentivized to go outside the book?
Not really.
Yeah. Are they engaged? So, like, I'm placing that there to say it's not them, it's not the people. It's what they're required to kind of do at the same time. Is be an annoying thing for all projects.
Yeah. They're the rules, and you can't go outside of it. So, how do you innovate?
Yeah. So, it's
how do you get to a position where you actually get to do it better?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's our job as project managers, is to find a way.
Correct. So,
and annoy the Department of Transport equally as much as they annoy us.
Yeah. But I said to you before, if I'd used the canal code, that never would have happened.
Absolutely.
So it was a way to get it through. But one of the things that I did early on when we started the detailed design of everything was I brought the City of Mandurah technical people into the design team.
Yep. So you had the immediate engagement.
Yes. So and the planners
into
that design team. So when we had our PCG meetings, they were at the table. They saw the design evolving in front of them. They made comment and input from their point of view of, like, we've got to take this over and maintain it.
Yep.
Ad infinitum. So, and we got on very well. The cooperation was very, very good. So by the time the drawings went into the city for approval, it was a rubber stamp job.
Because everyone was already involved.
Because they'd already
contributed.
So that was an effective strategy, both from a time point of view and a stakeholder relationship point of view. A very effective strategy. I'd do that again.
It sounds simple, but it's a way of demonstrating excellence, isn't it? Like, getting your actual stakeholders into your team so they're contributing, involved, and participating in the project. So absolutely valid way of demonstrating excellence in that stakeholder management. And you had the right people in the right room at the right time. So it sounds a bit serendipitous, but that's actually it's an actual skill within the PM team to know who is the right person, what is the right room, and when is the right time to have them involved. So
I was very lucky to have a very, very supportive CEO and mayor at the time, and they led their team very, very supportive of the way things were happening. So very lucky. Also, the local member for Dawesville and the local member for Mandurah. The local member for Mandurah was David Templeman, and Dawesville was Arthur Marshall. They were both on the task force, and they were very, very supportive as well. So you've got the political support and you've got the local government support. And for a project like that, it's critical.
Tell us a bit more about this other stakeholder that you said hated each other. So you earlier yesterday you said these two hated each other, and I want to hear a bit more about how you got over that one, and what was the problem, who were they, and how did you resolve it?
Okay, it was the Mandurah Offshore Fishing Club.
Yep.
was one party, and the other party was the Mandurah Sailing Club. Okay. Now, the Mandurah Sailing Club were actually located on the other side of the estuary at Hall's Head, Doddy's Beach, in a leased facility, and they used to launch their boats off the beach, most of them. They were, as it says, a sailing club, so they were sailboats. The Mandurah Offshore Fishing Club were mainly powered, what the sailing
Fish
club
boats,
calls
yeah.
stink boats,
Yep.
right? And they had traditionally, and the Mandurah Offshore Fishing Club was actually located in a leased facility in the marina precinct.
Yep.
Right? So that was earmarked for demolition.
Mm-hmm.
Valuation was carried out like for like, and money was given to them to go and build another one. If they wanted anything more than that, they'd top it up themselves. But they had a large hectareage of land given them to peppercorn, rent. We built their launch ramps for them and jetties, fixed jetties, and then we built the first stage of the floating pens for them at their cost, along with the first stage of the private pens, so that we could get the economies of scale there and get a lower price for them. The condition was that the two clubs had to amalgamate. If the sailing club wanted to come in there, they had to amalgamate with the fishing club, and they had to coexist in this building, new building. They traditionally did not like each other.
You can imagine one loves the power of wind and the other is the power of a motor. Yeah. So very different mentality to the water.
During their negotiations of amalgamating, they came to a stalemate and basically said, no, we're not going to amalgamate. We want our own separate facility in the marina and totally separate from them, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, no, that's not going to happen. You can't do that. That you must amalgamate. You must have. No, we can't stand each other. We're never going to be able to operate it right. And they then, I pulled out their leases, and both of them had expired.
Oh wow!
Years ago.
Wow.
Years before. And I pointed out. I said, you know that you're in these premises, courtesy of the city of Mandurah, and they can pull your lease anytime. They can evict you tomorrow. So are you going to be serious about this, or are you going to, oh, you can't do that. We own the building. No, you don't. We built it. It's on leased land. It belongs to the lessor.
Yes.
You know? What do you mean? They can't do that. I said, yes, they can. They can. They can evict you tomorrow, and you just have to move out. Go find somewhere else.
Expired. Like you really don't have
years before.
Yeah.
Yeah. They went away. They came back and said, "Can you convene a group of selected people and manage the process of getting us to amalgamate?" I said, "Well, not really. That's a conflict of interest. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually working for the developer. Yeah. We really need your help."
At least they came to you on that space.
Yeah, I went to Landcorp and I said, "They want me to do this." The general manager there said, "Okay, if you can do it, do it." So I did convene a group. We got some more reasonable people on the committee and worked out the deal, and it was all done, and they agreed. And they got their money, and they built the thing and the facility, and they put some more money into it, and it's a magnificent facility. At the time, it was the largest club of its type in the Southern Hemisphere.
At the time?
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it is still. But and they made me an honorary member.
Oh, fantastic. So you go down there quite regularly, don't you?
No, I'm not an honorary member anymore. That was a long time ago.
Fair enough.
So, yeah. Yeah, it was quite funny actually. But yeah, we got there in the end. But they had no idea that they were on borrowed time.
Well, it's interesting, and I've seen it sometimes. It's when stakeholder engagement, it's not always make sure everyone's on the same page. Sometimes you actually have to find that bit of information that allows you to strong arm a situation. You got to be respectful and polite when you go through that mechanism, as you probably were in that context, because they still came to you and asked for help to resolve the situation. But being there, helping them through that process, would have made it, oh, well, yes, he strong armed us, but at the same time, he got us out of the situation that we put ourselves in a way. And then in the context, you look at the environment they have now.
Yeah, they're very happy.
Very happy.
Very happy.
Sharing space, communal areas, like all of those things.
Yeah.
So that was, tops off to the elements that another excellent outcome in this project, and a good example of when that was a right time to strong arm a stakeholder. It's not every day you can actually say that in a project management sense. Sometimes people have gone in heavy-handed or tried to strong arm someone, and it's gone the wrong way, and the project team gets strong armed back into a forced situation. So, in terms of all the things that we've talked about so far today, could you pull out, two things that you think led to excellence in this outcome from a project professional context? Not so much, the marina and the excellent outcomes in the actual project itself, but what were two things in your mind that, from a project professional sense, led to this excellence?
I think I've already alluded to one of them, and that was to be inclusive on the design team, to get the authorities to be in the design team, to get the approval authorities in the design team. That took out a lot of heartache, a lot of time saved, a lot of toing and froing that was, would have been totally really unnecessary to do that. If you brought them on and they own it, you give them ownership. That's you eliminate time. That's what I'm trying to say is, as from a project professional point of view, is give that design team ownership and give them license to innovate.
And a lot of people keep their designers at arm's length, but that creates time. You've got to send information to them, get it back, put some comment registers and all that. But if you have them in the team, like you're saying, all of that becomes part of just the water cooler conversation almost, in a way. So.
Yeah, regular communication, regular meetings, and open communication with everyone. The task force, the project sponsor, the client, the city, everybody. I used to go down and have coffees with Arthur Marshall to keep him up to speed, and just tell him what was going on. I did the same at Albany with Alana McTiernan. Just keep him up to speed. And I was told that I couldn't speak to ministers or members of parliament. And I basically said, well, what do I do if they ring me up? Because Alana McTiernan used to ring me up all the time.
On speed dial almost.
on Sundays. I said, what am I supposed to tell her?
Yeah.
I can't talk to you, Minister. Oh, well, it's not protocol. It's not your role. I said, well, I can't help it.
Yeah.
So you really do need to be able to be stand up for yourself in that situation.
Yep.
If you're given the role of project director, then you have to take that role seriously, and you have to make sure that you're responsible for everything that happens in that project to deliver it under the the criteria that you've been set. So
communication is one.
Communication is the key. The key. It actually, without that sufficient communication, the whole thing falls to pieces.
And they're two good examples of how simple things done well result in some really good outcomes, like that inclusion of your design team rather than pushing them at arm's length. Contracts do get in the way sometimes, but that's more of a procurement decision back earlier on if you're going to have that context there.
We did traditional procurement on Mandurah, so there was designs done, and then there was construct only contracts, AS2124 contracts. We could have gone down a design and construct path. We looked at that, but because of the time frame and the staging, that really wasn't conducive to do that. So we were left with that. D&C is fine when you've got, it's a specific scope on a specific time frame.
Yeah.
But this wandered all over the place, really, because
Sure did.
it was delayed with the canals by 12 months.
Yep.
So we could get all those approvals. You couldn't do that with a D&C.
No.
You just couldn't. It would come back to bite you. It'd cost you a fortune. I'm not sure whether I would have done anything different today had that project been put on my lap.
That's excellent to hear.
The lessons learned, or lessons learned from previous projects from around the world, were applied to that project from day one. And that even led to the decision of dewatering to get everything done in the dry. Those walls that you saw before, they're called tensar walls. They're limestone blocks with roll-out mesh, plastic mesh that goes behind, and then the soil's compacted on top so that it's actually held back. So a normal retaining wall is much wider at the base than it is at the top.
Yeah.
But these are 400 mil wide all the way down, and held back into probably reinforced earth type construction. That saved a lot of money and a lot of time to do that. By dewatering and using that edge wall, probably saved a couple of $1 million in time, much faster.
Yeah,
much faster.
So in terms of, we've got a few photos here I want to kind of go through. And one was just to kind of, look at where it started and where it finished. So if I go to this one here, which is, when you landed, you can see here you've got your stage 1 is almost finished. And you're into your stage 2 here. Give us a bit of a, what time, what year was this that you think that this particular photo was taken, and any particular elements that stood out to you?
That would be probably 2001, around that area, where we just finished doing the second phase of the bund, or connecting the bund to allow us to dewater in that area.
And how long had canals been approved by this stage?
The canals, maybe that's 2002. The canals got approved in 2001.
Okay.
Yep.
So it all happened really quickly when you're delivering stage 1, which is that northern side here.
We opened the first, released the first few lots for sale in 2000. Back then, and then we were developing lots as we went. In the top right-hand corner is where the fishing sailing club is. And so that's their pens attached to them. And then further along at the top is where the commercial fishermen are. You can see their fishing boats there. In between those two is the marina maintenance area, and with a boat lifter, and the sea rescue group is in there as well. And then the pens on the lower part are the other public pens.
Oh, nice.
So
moving on to the next one, the finished. you know, when we're looking at what it is today.
Yep.
If we take this context and you say you've got the canals in and all of those elements in, and the hotels are on the other side are up, and that context there.
Yep.
Where do you where do you think you take the most pride out of all of those elements? Which is the key element that you think the
waterways,
the waterways,
definitely.
the canals?
Yeah. That led to record land prices and it was an auction. $5,280 a square metre.
Yeah.
That's what turned the project around from that loss to that profit. Good timing on marketing, excellent marketing plan, good timing on marketing, excellent planning, getting over the problems of public access and things like that would have been a block to it. It all came together at the same time, which was really fortunate, because if it had been a couple of years later, we would have hit the GFC, which would have made a bit of a difference.
Well,
yeah,
definitely. But at the same time, you had such a exclusive environment that everyone would have been, the demand for it would have still been high. I think even during that time.
It took a little while after that bubble
Mm-hmm.
to sell all of it.
Yep.
And get all the development done. There are still a few vacant sites there, development sites that are for probably landmark type buildings. There's still a few of those left there that haven't been sold yet, but I'm sure they eventually will. But you can see at the top of the picture those high-rise buildings. That's the old Peninsula Hotel.
Yep.
So that was knocked down, and that's now Peninsula Apartments and the Siebel Hotel in there. So that's certainly a landmark. And there's another landmark in the middle of the marina called the Moorings, which I actually project managed for the private developer of that.
Yep.
So yeah, and then there's on the beach to the extreme left of that photo. On the beach there, that building on the beach is Seashells, which are short stay apartment. It's a short stay apartment hotel and villas right on the beach.
Fantastic area to visit and relax and chill out.
Yep. We had to extend that breakwater underground along that beach in front of the Seashells because that beach erodes every year.
Okay, so that was
significantly erodes every year. So it's right up. So we had to protect that site. So that breakwater goes for another, I think it's 800 metres or something underground. So to protect that, and it gets exposed every year.
Yeah, it definitely does. There's a lot of water movement in general in that space.
There is a sand bypass operation that operates there every year that has to be done in perpetuity.
Okay.
So there's dredging on the other side of the estuary. There's dredging, and then it's pumped. There's a pipe that's buried behind the seawall, and it's pumped all the way to that beach to deposit sand on that beach.
Well, that's I guess an interesting topic for when we do the final stage, which is handover and takeover type environments, or the last stage of the project where you actually hand it back to the operations. And what the project team committed to during obviously has preparatory, using your word there, that ongoing requirements that need to be utilized throughout the rest of the operation of that asset. It's been awesome diving into this delivery stage of Mandurah Ocean Marina. I feel that we could take this as a case study for every stage, and then dive into each one: the initiation, the planning, the delivery, the monitoring, controlling that was done throughout, and then finally the handover and lessons learned at the back of the end. But you've really demonstrated how to make some small changes but achieve excellence in our profession. It sounds simple, but it actually takes a motivated individual or a motivated team to communicate with everyone around them and make sure, one, that they stay a liked person through the process sometimes, but also able to get an outcome or an alignment in regard, whether they like you or not. And you've kind of demonstrated that today, so I really appreciate that knowledge that you've brought to this conversation and everything you've done for me in the past and you're looking to do in the future. So in terms of this episode is going to come out in December. What are your plans for December? What's Chris doing in December?
I'm going to Melbourne for Christmas.
Yeah,
that's about it.
So you've got any key jobs you're working on at the moment, or?
As far as what we're doing at the moment is I'm doing a few bits and pieces for Westport. That's actually, Westport's the new port for Western Australia. Yeah. So Fremantle is going to get closed down as a container port and turned into a tourism port or tourist ship port. Yeah. And redeveloped.
Is it options still, or is it that's confirmed? And
yeah, that's why Westport's being built.
Okay,
so take all that, take all that down there. So Westport at the moment is in planning phase and land acquisition phase. So there's a lot of businesses down there, industrial businesses and in naval base, which have to be moved and put into another industrial estate called Latitude 32.
Yep.
And I'm working in that space. So I'm working in relocating some businesses from naval base to Latitude 32. So those businesses, I'm not working. I am working for the businesses, but I'm being paid by Westport.
To get it all moved
through main roads at the moment because of the land. It's the land acquisition that's the important part at the moment. And Development WA are involved in that as well because Latitude 32 Orion Estate is theirs. So the government have to actually fund all of this, fund the moving of all of this, so that they can have access to all of the land that backs the port. It'll be a huge port. It's going to take long after I'm retired for the thing to actually be delivered. So I won't be around to see that. But
Perth is going to go through a significant growth phase over the next 5 to 10 years, and Westport is only one of 10 major projects in this immediate area. And when I say major, I'm talking 1 billion plus.
Yeah, I know.
So there's a huge infrastructure undertaking at the moment, or a lot of them are still in that planning initiation stage. But it's a lot of work in that space, and I look forward to seeing that come to fruition.
I've done a fair bit of work down at the Australian Marine Complex.
Yep,
which is now defence hub.
Yep,
right, and I think the government announced $12 billion. The federal government,
so they've definitely got their eyes on that, and they haven't released what they're doing with it yet. But they're on that. They're on that journey.
There's definitely got to be a dry dock for servicing nuclear submarines. There's definitely got to be one of those, and then manufacturing facilities for frigates and stuff like that. Austral ships is down there already.
Yep,
doing that. BAE's down there already doing that sort of stuff.
CivMec shed,
CivMec,
it's got some of the works going on in there as well.
Yep. There's got the floating dock there that I've had a bit to do with which takes the vessels out of the water and into the maintenance shed. One thing I learned then, the submarines, to maintain the submarine, they take them out of the water from the floating dock on the motorised transport to the shed. They cut the sub in half.
Wow. That's a story for another episode.
To do the maintenance. I couldn't believe it. They weld it back together again, put it back in the water.
Well, there's the engineering feat of what goes under the water is a significant undertaking, and then the maintenance of that would be another significant undertaking in its own right. So there's plenty of opportunity for project managers across Perth and, not just Australia, but Perth, West Australia, Northwest, Mandurah, everywhere in between. There's a significant amount of projects underway. I guess the key thing, I'll be doing, I don't get to go to Melbourne for Christmas, but I will be joining in to the PMI Christmas party and running. I won't be running the market grounds scope creep social in December, but it'll be back on in January. So every month I'm running just a bit of a PM social. I'm calling it the scope creep social of all things, because we can talk about anything anywhere, and it'll be back in January. So December it's having a bit of a break. And then we'll get back into it, and we'll have our guest of honor publicized, and every month we'll get together.
Well, let me know.
Absolutely.
I'll be in that.
So in terms,
if the PMI, when's the PMI Christmas thing?
The 10th of December is the PMI one. It's a bit of a party, more of a social get together. But in terms of, the next episode that's coming out in January is the monitoring and controlling. I did have a project and speaker ready to go. So I was about to, had the privilege of being able to announce them, but they've just changed their mind and they'll get moved to the next cycle. So I will bring that. I look forward to finding another case study and someone to talk about monitoring and controlling. Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure having this conversation with you, sharing the knowledge with other people in the project profession. I look forward to many more conversations. Maybe we can look at another episode in the future, in the short term, in a different stage. So we're not talking about the similar activities and in a different stage. So definitely keen to have that conversation and pull a bit more knowledge out of you. If there's any final comments that you have from today, or
I could talk about Mandurah Ocean Marina all day. So it's we've just touched briefly on a few elements, but it's I could write a book on it. So maybe I will one day.
Well, maybe once you've finished moving everyone out of Westport, you might start going and writing a book about it, and bring that to the front. But look, thank you. It's been an awesome chat. And today we'll make sure that this gets the knowledge shared that it deserves, because excellence is one of the elements that our profession should be chasing. It's achieved many awards, and so we should be celebrating those projects and the professionals that do that really well. Well, thank you for listening today. That brings us to the end of episode 3 of Projects in Focus. I really do hope that you'd liked, shared, and tell a friend about this podcast as we try and bring this to the rest of the project profession here in Australia. If you've got any questions, comments, or elements about this project, we'd love to hear about them. Put them in the comments section, or come and have a conversation with me through LinkedIn, or have a coffee. As Chris said, having a coffee can solve you a lot of problems. And I like to have a lot of coffee daily. So I'm out there trying to help people connect into the project profession and launch their careers or their progress through that career. Give us a call or write us an email. Thank you again, and I look forward to bringing episode 4 to you in January. Thank you.